Dragons are dinosaurs. Medieval sightings. In April of 2023, I did 2 videos explaining that dragons are actually the same creatures as dinosaurs. This is an important aspect of prophecy, as dinosaurs are held by many to have lived millions of years ago and are cited as evidence of evolution. My point here is that every culture in the world has reports of dragons, and they existed up until the Middle Ages, maybe beyond. History is only 6,000 years old. Men and dragons coexisted. One of the earliest prose poems we have in English is the Epic of Beowulf. The poem survives in a single manuscript copy that was made about 1000 AD. However, the events in the poem take place over the 5th and 6th century AD in Denmark. The writers of the epic have several words to describe the different types of dragons or serpents that the people of the poem were dealing with. I am indebted to Bill Cooper, who wrote the book After the Flood, for the following list of serpents identified in Beowulf. So we can see the Saxon words for the types of dragons from Beowulf on the left, then a literal translation of what that means in modern English. Image of a dragon, either an AI image or something taken from a medieval bestiary, and then we can see possible dinosaur equivalents to that dragon. So we've got something called Worm scenes. Worm means dragon in Saxon. Literal translation is wormkind, a race of monsters and serpents, which we now call dinosaurs. Then we have something called sadrican, sea dragons. We've got a picture of a sea dragon from a medieval bestiary, and that approximates to an ichthyosaur. There's a Saxon word nikor that is also spelled nuka, and you find it in a lot of place names. It means a water-dwelling dragon or monster, and that could be a pliosaur, which we have many fossils of in the southwest of England. Wearmas means serpent. They were commonly in medieval bestiaries, and they would approximate to something like a mosasaur. Then we've got Ithcuinus, which literally means a wave thrasher or a surface swimming monster. That would be something like a Spinosaurus that lived in shallow waters. We've got a lift flogger, which literally means an air flyer. There's many kind of flying dinosaurs. I've got a pterosaur here. Then we have a weed flogger. That's wide-ranging flyers. That could approximate to something like a pterodactyl. We've got something called a Ligdraka, or fire dragon. I've put a Lambeosaurus here because they did have a cavity in their skull that could be used for creating fire. I'd have to do another video on that. Then we've got Grendel, the famous one from Beowulf. The name is probably derived from the Norse word grindel, meaning storm. Presumably Grendel made a noise like a storm. Grendel had large legs and small arms and a large mouth, so it was something like a velociraptor. And then we've got a Meerkstapper, or a marsh stepper. That would be something like a Stegosaurus, which lived in marshes and bogs. There's many dragon descriptions from the 7th century all through the Middle Ages in etymologies and bestiaries explaining about dragons. This one is from Isidore of Seville, who wrote his famous etymology in the 7th century. The dragon is the largest of all the snakes, or of all the animals on the earth. The Greeks called it drakon, whence the term is borrowed from Latin, so that we say Draco. It is often drawn out of caves and soars aloft and disturbs the air. It is crested and has a small mouth and narrow pipes through which it draws breath and sticks out its tongue. It has strength not in its teeth but in its tail, and it causes injury more by its lashing tail than with its jaws. Also, it does not harm with poison. Poison is not needed for this animal to kill, because it kills whatever it wraps itself around. So he's describing a particular sort of dragon here, and you can read the rest of it for yourself. I've included a PDF download on the website if you want to download the whole chart for yourself. So these creatures, or dragons, were very familiar to the Saxon and Norse people. They did have specific words for the different types of monster. Grendel himself, as we've seen, was a bipedal monster with 2 large legs and puny forearms. Beowulf was able to defeat him by going in under the creature's powerful jaws and grabbing his claws, then pulling away and ripping one of the arms off. The description of Grendel is similar to a dinosaur such as a velociraptor. There are a truly vast number of sightings of dragons and monsters in Britain in the Middle Ages. Their names are remembered in place names up and down the country. There are innumerable carvings and pictures from the Middle Ages recording dragons. In Wales there were reptilian species known as the adanct or afanc, which was a lake monster, and the carog. The adanc survived until comparatively recent times at such places. You'll have to forgive me if you're Welsh for my pronunciation, as Bedir afanc near Bryn Berrien, Llyn i'r afanc above Betws y Coed on the River Conway. The killing of this monster was described in the year 1693, and Llyn Barfog. A carog is commemorated at Carog near Corwen and at Dul y Carog in the Vale of Conwy. Winged serpents were also commonly sighted in Wales right up until the early 20th century, when they were reportedly seen in the woods around Penllyn Castle in Glamorgan. They snapped on the local produce and sparkled and shimmered when escaping farmers. These brilliantly coloured flying feathered serpents were said to inhabit the woods of Penllyn as recently as the mid-19th century. People who were old men and women at the beginning of the 20th century recalled them well from their youth. They said the crested dragons of Penllyn were prone to raid chicken coops and as a result were hunted into extinction. There are hundreds of such sightings around Britain, especially in the Middle Ages, but also up to relatively recent times. I will continue with more historical reports of dragon sightings in the next part of this series. For now though, just consider the number of place names, crests, carvings, etc. there are that depict dragons. I'll finish the video with some pictures of these things. Thank you for listening. If you found this video interesting, you can find more information at prophecy-workshop.com.